Well, hello, this is Peter Combs from Bidamount.com and P.O. Combs Asian Art in Gloucester, Massachusetts. And today is November 28th, 2019, the end of Thanksgiving week. I hope everybody had a nice Thanksgiving. We did. Quiet day, turkey, did the whole thing. It was fun. It was nice. Had some of the kids over. And what's going on this week? Well, I'm getting over a really bad cold, borderline case of pneumonia. Just among other things. But one of the things I wanted to bring up is that we have been working, as many of you know, we were working on setting up these global auction pages, which will be a subscriber-based thing, but very inexpensive, a couple of bucks a month. But we had to pay for the cost of setting it up, and it looks like we're going to launch the pages next week. We'll do a video on it. We'll post some stuff on the website about it. And this is going to be the landing page when you log in, if you sign up for this, and it'll bring you over here, and this will be the main landing page, and on it has the 6 auction venues that we'll be covering: live auctioneers, Invaluable, Bid Square, Bonhams, and Christie's and Sotheby's. Okay, and below that we'll have a news feed. We'll include stuff in there about upcoming auctions that we catch during the week, because we're going to be going over live auctioneers, Invaluable, and Bid Square the same way we go over eBay and Catawiki. We're going to be plucking out the things that look good to us and include them. And each page will be linked off of these. Off of this, you click any one of them, it'll take you over, and it'll bring you to this page. This is the Bid Square page, okay? It's not fully developed out yet. It will be by the beginning of next week. And there's quite a bit of material on here, and this is how it'll appear. It'll look sort of like the eBay newsletter page, but these pages will be much longer. There'll be a lot more content in them. This particular page has a lot of Chinese export this time around, and so forth. And then hopping over here, we've got live auctioneers. This is their page, and there's quite a bit of material on here as well. There's a lot of Chinese export. There's some domestic Chinese porcelains, of course, and export Ming wares, some celadons, and you name it. These are all the things that are coming up over on live auctioneers. And then Invaluable. We have a page for them, and there's quite a lot on here. As you can see, there's some good Ming material and one thing and another, and we're going to display them in slightly different ways just to see which layout people like better. This is a vertical layout. We can switch it back to a grid anytime we want. It's easy to do. And on here, you'll see there's a lot of good material. Surprisingly, we've managed to find things in a number of good sites, and we may build out a list of auctioneers that we like and auctioneers that we would suggest you avoid. Somebody here suggested, how about a grade system, A, B, C, D, E, and F? That's a possibility. And then we're going to get over here. We have the Christie's site. And as you know, many of you know, Christie's now does quite a bit with online auctions, sort of the way eBay does them. As a matter of fact, they set up a 10-day auction, a 15-day auction. You can leave bids, and this is a series of auctions that have completed that are on here still, but we wanted to have them for demonstration purposes, and they display the prices realized and so forth. And then what we'll do is, at the bottom of these pages, as things complete, we'll have completed listing values of the most recent sales, and you can go and look at them if you're interested in seeing what things brought. Okay, and then the ditto for over here at Sotheby's. There's a lot of material on Sotheby's right now. They have a big sale coming up in the next day or two in Hong Kong. And as you can see, there's a lot of good material on here as well. Always good material with Christie's and Sotheby's. You don't have to dig too hard, but it's a matter of pulling the data in and getting it all displayed in a nice way. And I think this layout is actually better than the layout they have on their own site. And then over here to Bonhams, same sort of thing, paintings and so forth. There's a lot of material on here. As you can see, there's a ton of it. Alrighty. And if you don't have a Bonhams or a Christie's website or Sotheby's, I would suggest you get one. You assign a credit card to it, and you can place bids and get things that you like. And remember, you can always just leave bids. It's no different than eBay or anywhere else. You can leave bids, and if you get it, you get it. And if you don't, well, somebody else got it. But if you're a dealer, it's a good opening to a lot more material than you might have access to otherwise between these 6 sites, between live auctioneers, Invaluable, Bid Square, Sotheby's, Christie's, and Bonhams. And I think it's going to be a lot of fun, and we're looking forward to it. We'll update all of the pages at least once a week, and during the week, as things come along, we'll add them as we come across them, so that the pages will have some updates during the week, but at least once a week, the full pages of each will be fully updated. And past sales will be shown as past sales, and upcoming sales will be at the top of the page. All right, the past sales will be at the bottom of the page. And that's it, okay? So we're looking forward to doing it, and we'll let everybody know. We'll do a mailing when we get the thing launched up. You come over to the Bidamount homepage right here. As many of you noticed, we put a thing on the post that we've redesigned the homepage because I felt it was getting a little too cluttered because things just happen and you add things and suddenly it doesn't look good anymore. So what we've done is we've created a new layout for the homepage. The left side has all the general stuff that it had before. The right side has the sign-up form here for the subscriber pages. And below that are the assistant pages and the links for submitting things for us to look at for you. And of course, at the very top of the page is a link over to the forum. Also on this page, there'll be there is a thing to the catalogs, the reference section. There's almost 500 catalogs and books on there right now. Link to our YouTube channel, which you're on right now, obviously, and our Twitter feed and so forth. We don't do a lot with Twitter, but we occasionally put something on there. And if you want to subscribe to it, go ahead. But we prefer to try to do things off the site itself as much as possible. All right, so that's it. And there'll be more next week, and I'm really looking forward to it. Okay, now over to what happened at eBay this week. There were some good things. It was sort of a quiet week because of the holiday. A lot of people are away on Thanksgiving, so you have a number of people that don't put up much. There are a couple of fairly large sales right now. Chamberlain Antiques has a sale up that ends Monday, and Qing Period has some very nice things that we're going to get to also that end on Sunday, I believe. But for now, we're going to take a look at this. This was a nice old rank badge. A beautiful one with a heron. I like the coloring on this. Quite attractive. The edging on it was a little bit rough around the sides. You notice because they took these rank badges to sell them, to export them, they often would frame them in different types of silk and metallic thread backgrounds. And this one did okay. It brought $520, but it was a little rough. Had it been in beautiful condition, this would have been a $1,200 to $1,500 rank badge, but still a nice old one, nice 19th century example. And then over to this. This was a mystery for the week. I mentioned this last week. This was a nice late Qing, early Republic period vase. The seller did not include a picture of the bottom of it because I don't think he wanted to take it apart. Somebody submitted the pictures to me, and he did get the guy to take the bottom off, and it was what I thought it was, late Qing, early Republic, though it looks like a better vase than that. And for some reason, I thought it was a $2,000 or $3,000 vase that had been drilled. Had China written on the bottom in paint with a number, as I recall from the photos I was sent, and it brought a crazy price. I can't explain it. $15,099. I have a feeling that somebody thought it might have been a Qinlong example, or they got a picture of the bottom with the mark, and they thought that the mark was accurate because, as I recall, it had a Qinlong mark on it. It wasn't a Qinlong mark. It was not a Qinlong vase or a Republic vase. And we'll see if it sells. This vase had been through before, and it sold for $37,000. Didn't get paid for. Now it's up for $15,000, and we'll see if it doesn't return again. I don't know what the deal is on this. This is a little bit strange. Okay, now over to this, the rose Mandarin bottle vase. This was a nice bottle vase. And there was some confusion from the seller in his description a little bit about it having restoration at the top, but he blacklit it and he tested it, and he attested to the fact that the area at the top that looked like it might have been a restoration wasn't a restoration. So here it is. This was a good-looking bottle, though, and I think it went for a very reasonable price. This was very reasonable, $316. We've seen these on here before. This particular form was a popular one. They were made mostly before the first half of the 19th century, and they go for $500 to $650. So whoever got this might have made out on it because of the sort of confusing way the seller posted the description. I don't think he wasn't trying to be deceptive. I think he just didn't explain it very well. Anyway, that was a great buy. And then on to this. This is another nifty buy. This was an interesting little Chinese rose medallion or Mandarin teapot. It was sort of an unusual shape, interesting form. Second half of the 19th century. Here's another shot of it. It's got a little bit of gilding on the handles. There's the bottom, the base, and so forth. Very typical of these. And look at this. It only went for $105. That was a pretty good buy. That was a nice buy for a teapot from that period. So whoever got it, good on you. There were some good buys this week. And then onto this, the sort of late Ming incense burner. It had been polished, obviously, over the years. You can still see residue of old polish in the creases and cracks and so forth. And as I said last week, it was a tradition to keep these things polished up right through the 1930s. You know, for quite a while, people would get them in the West, and they wanted them to look sort of like gold, so they kept them very well polished. And this one still did pretty well. It would have done better if it hadn't been cleaned. It brought $3,968. This was from Avions Antiques up in Canada, up in Victoria. Nice looking bronze, though. Good looking bronze, good shape, nice compressed form, good handles, and so forth. All right, and then over here to the Wanli Tianqi period jar. This was an interesting jar. I liked this. I liked the figures on it, sort of a processional thing going around the outside of it. Well colored, nice shape, and it did fine in the end. It ended up bringing $1,250. Not bad at all. And it was around 6 or 8 inches tall, as I recall. All right, and then over here, this was a little bargain of the week. I like carved wooden things, as I've said many times on here. I like them when they have old color. This was a nice carved coconut wine cup with Shao characters and precious objects and auspicious symbols and all that business. Had a nice old pewter liner. Here's the interior of it. Good looking thing, an antique, 19th century, and it went for $15.50. As I said, leave a bid. This was a bargain. This was a nice buy. It was about 3 inches in diameter, and it looked to be in very nice condition. For $15, you can't go wrong. That was a good buy. And then here's another cup. This one was listed as a coconut cup. I didn't think it was a coconut cup at all. I think it was a hardwood cup, nicely done. I'm not sure what kind of wood it was, but it doesn't necessarily come through to me as a coconut. It doesn't have the graining, in my opinion. It looks like wood. All right, there's the bottom of it. It doesn't look like coconut to me. But a nice old cup regardless. And it brought $218. And mainly because it had a good surface on it. And it was sort of interesting. It had a mark on the bottom. I couldn't figure out what the mark was. It might have just been some local carver chipped in his initials or something. All right. And then over here, another rank badge. This one was in excellent condition with good, strong, vibrant colors. Notice there's no fading. The reds are still good and strong. Those are the colors you want to look for because certain dyes fade very easily with any amount of sunlight on them when they're done on silk, and in particular greens, reds, and yellows. They're all very susceptible to fading. And this was a nice one in very, very good condition. And some collector really wanted it. He paid $1,173 for it, but not an unrealistic price at all because of its condition. Condition on rank badges is really important. People love them when they're in good shape. All right, and then on to this, the Grapes Pattern and Rat Dish. I mentioned this a week or so ago when I went up. I thought this was a really interesting pattern. Typically, the Grapes pattern turns up on transitional pieces, on Wukai pieces, pre-Kangxi pieces. And I loved the way this was done. It was very interesting indeed. And he included an exhibition catalog for it. There's the back of it, very typical Kangxi back. And in the end, it did very, very well. It brought $5,935. It has a little chipping and fritting to the rim, but that was about it. But a very rare pattern on a plate, I think. I can't remember the last time I saw it. I probably have, but quite unusual the way it was done. I liked it. Nice thing. And then over here, a roundel with a Shao character in the center with a profusion of clouds shaped like rui heads and auspicious symbols and precious objects and all that inside of a sort of curious frame, but nice piece of silk. And it did well. It brought $748. The dies were all in pretty good shape. There's a tiny bit of fading, but not bad. Not bad at all. Okay, now let's hop over to this. The Wanli plate with the geese in it. It's a well-known pattern. This was a very popular pattern. You have geese in the middle of these. Sometimes you have crickets, grasshoppers, that sort of thing, and occasionally tigers and larger animals. But the double geese pattern on these is quite popular. You see there are 2 ascending and 2 are perched on the rocks. And this plate was in nice condition. And it brought $548. And what size? This was Arthur Potts sold this. No cracks, no restoration, and 36 centimeters in diameter. So it was a charger. This was a big plate. That would make this a very good buy. All right, this was about a 14 or 15 inch plate and in beautiful condition. And I think this was another good buy. I think it was a good week for buying. I think so many people are away and distracted and doing other things, getting ready for the Thanksgiving holiday here in the States anyway. So this was a good plate. I would have, at that size, at 38 centimeters, I would have expected it to bring maybe $700, $800. So that was a good buy. All right, and then over here to the Kangxi Chinese Imari Bombay, sort of a Bombay form mug. It's an interesting form. They turn up from time to time. There are a lot of these in Europe, Northern Europe especially, and in England. It was a fairly heavily exported type of mug, and this was a nice one. Somewhat simply drawn, but it looked to be in good shape, and it went very reasonably. Again, $137. All right, if you collect Kangxi Imari, this would have been a good buy. All right, there's a few of you out that have asked me questions about Chinese Imari. Well, this was a good one. He should have listed it though as Kangxi Imari ware, and not just iron red and blue, blue iron red and so forth. All right, and then on to this, the 19th century famille rose figure, lady on the elephant, being approached by it looks like an imperial personage, and very nicely done, and I love the elephant. I love the elephant. This sort of scene, this pictorial scene with the figure riding an elephant with their staff is quite desirable among collectors, and this did very well. It brought $999. All right. It was about 7 or 8 inches in diameter. And then over to this, the Famille Rose Rooster plate. This was a really pretty plate. This closed Friday after we did last week's video, but I wanted to include it. I thought this was a nice example, very well done. Here's a picture blown up a bit. Notice how the reds are just really strong, nice and thick over here on the flowers, good vibrant colors. The rooster was beautifully done, and there wasn't a lot of loss or chipping to the enamel. Some of these enamels, when they paint them and they get fairly thick, are prone to chipping and flaking off and so forth. This one looked to be in quite good shape. A couple of minor little ones up in here, flaked off here and here. But that's it. These did not flake off. They were left open, but it looks like this one might have flaked a little bit. All righty. And how did it do? It did fine, but it didn't bring the world. $353 for this. This is a Yongzheng dish. I think that was a great buy. Nice looking plate. It was about 6 or 8 inches in diameter. Okay, now let's hop over to here to this, the Ming bowl. This was a nice Ming bowl. The seller had sort of a high starting bid on it for some reason. He had an opening bid of $300, and I mentioned last week it seemed reasonable because I think it's worth more than that. But it was a nice size bowl. The cobalt on it was well decorated. The shape was nice. The porcelain was of good quality. And in the end, it did pretty well. It brought $521, had minor rim frits and nicks and so forth. There was a chip on the foot, as I recall, but that was about it. And nice looking bowl if you're a late Ming collector. That was a good bowl. And then over here, the giant brush pot. They had this listed as Wanli. I don't think it was Wanli. But a nice big brush pot, 19th century. There's a lot of fakes of these around. This was an old one. There's a picture of the bottom all dried out and scuffed, and you can see where some of the stain ran over. And there's a picture of the interior. There it is. All right, this is a nice old brush pot, big one. This is a big pot. All right, and I saw it when it was at about $15, and I thought, boy, this thing is going to do well, and it did. It brought $2,605, which is right on the money for this. Had it been real, I think had it been Wanli, it probably would have brought over $10,000. All right, we had one a number of years ago that was Wanli on here. I think we got 15 or 20 for it. Okay, now over to this, the Yixing teapot. This is a lovely little 19th century Yixing teapot. I like the shape on it a lot. Sort of based on almost on a European silver form, with this spur handle on the side, like you see on English silver, and the curvy spout and so forth, and this nice sort of fat finial on the lid. And in the end, it did fine. It brought $1,030, but it was a good-looking pot. Had a maker's mark on the bottom in the round. It's a very typical late 19th century pot, but a good one. All right, and then over here to the early painting, pen and ink painting. I think this was a nifty painting. I really liked this. Pen and ink, done in the Sung style, but probably late Ming, but beautifully done. Just a lovely, lovely picture. It needed a frame. Never leave these loose. If you buy old paintings, Chinese paintings, even if it's not an expensive frame, get it under a frame, get it protected, get it hung with acid-free mat and so forth, just to preserve it, all right? Because loose paintings, I know people that collect paintings, and sometimes they don't bother getting them framed. Unless you have a cabinet for prints and files like this to store them flat out of the light, get them framed and hang them in a room without a lot of direct sunlight, and they'll be fine. This was a nice painting, and it ended up bringing just $406, which I think was very, very reasonable. All right, and he had it dated about right, Ming to early Qing. I think it was more likely late Ming, but very much in the Sung style, Sung landscape style. And then over here to this very cool frame. I loved this. Done sort of in an ebony wood with 3 openings for portraits, and but nice detail, nice looking carving. You can blow it up. There it is. All right, this is a nice old frame. It looked great hanging in your house, and it went for just $67. And if any of you have priced frames, you know this was very inexpensive. Just a plain basic frame these days, black with glass and a mat. It's $200. This was a wonderful buy, and I hope whoever bought it's got some nice pictures to put in there. Maybe some pith paintings or something like that, or portraits. All right. And then lastly, onto this, of the things that sold was this nice little jade from the British seller we keep track of. Nice little seated figure. Here's another shot of it sitting on a stand. Stand doesn't really go with it, but it's a good-looking carving, 19th century carving. He has it as 18th. I think it was a little later than that. Not a lot later, but probably early 19th century. And it ended up bringing $1,460. Okay, but it was a good quality, sort of a greenish-white jade stone, and just nicely done. Just very, very nicely done all the way around. And then hopping over here to what's coming up. There's quite a bit of stuff coming up this week, and we got, as I said, Chamberlain Antiques and Qing period are ending over the weekend and Monday, and there's some other things that popped up this week. One of them was this. This is over on Catawiki. If you like Kangxi dishes, this is a nice example. This is a really nice example. Good, deep sapphire cobalt blue throughout, and nice shading. The flowers are beautifully done. The rim is nicely shaped. Looks to be in very, very good condition all the way around, but just a good-looking dish. Okay, and here is the center. Let's see what the back of this looks like. Did they include the back? There it is. There's the back of it, okay. Might have a nick or two off the rim that you could get fixed if you wanted, but other than that, this is a good plate. And it's up to $141, and it closes tomorrow. It closes on Saturday, but it'll be in the newsletter this weekend. If you haven't subscribed yet to the newsletter, you ought to do that. The newsletter is free. The new global auction thing is we're going to have a fee for it just because it costs a lot of money to do it. At any rate, I wanted to do it, so that's the reason we did it, but at any rate. There's this. This is a nice Qing bronze with elephants on it. And this type of casting with this fine beadwork and the beaded heads of the elephants, you see these sometimes on the same identical work on full-bodied elephants with just a single vase in his back. And we've included them. Christie's has had them. Sotheby's has had them. But this is a nice example. And the patina on it is very, very good. Good-looking bronze. There are the elephant heads. And I love the Buddhist beads, the swags. Just really nicely done. And it's got this vine work at the top with the handles, sort of in the manner of Ming pieces. All right, the way they did in the Ming Dynasty. And this thing is up to $1,552. It's had a few bids, but it's a highly unusual thing. He's listed it as Kangxi period, which I think is just about right. Maybe a little before. All right, and then there's this set of 8 immortals, Qinlong to Jiajing period. Most of these were made in the Jiajing period. People always date them as 18th century, but a lot of them were made in the first quarter of the 19th century. And they're up to $554. This closes on Sunday. It was on the newsletter last weekend. And then this curious little Kangxi porcelain teapot. This exact teapot with this exact photograph was on eBay just 2 weeks ago. And it sold for about $700. Evidently, for whatever reason, I suspect it didn't get paid for, and it's been relisted here by the seller. It's on Catawiki, and it's up to $720 with 2 days to go. So we'll see how she does with it in the end. All right. And on eBay coming up this weekend is this. This is a really big 48-centimeter rose medallion bowl, first half of the 19th century. Really nice quality, beautiful quality on this. This is Qing period, has this. $385 it's up to. Should do a good bit better than that. That's a 48-centimeter dish. So it's about 18 or 19 inches wide. 18 inches, big one. And then over here, the bronze. This is a nice little Ming bronze. If you like Ming bronzes, this is a sweet one. The details are good. The mask handles are good. Let's see here. Where's the bottom of it? There's the bottom of it, exactly how it should look, all grunged up and a little bit rough. Often the bottom plates of these sometimes gets knocked out for some reason on certain of these forms, and you'll see a little soldering line where they put a bottom back in it. This one looks all intact. There it is. There's the mouth of it. Very rustic, just the way it should look. It's got the loose ring handles on the side, and it's only up to $201. It's got 3 days to go. Closes Monday. It should pretty comfortably triple that number, 600 to 800, somewhere in there, I would guess. All right, but that's a nice little bronze. That'll be in the newsletter this week. And then there's this. This was that big Dowsai charger we had talked about last week, the 36-inch one. There was a very similar one that was sold by another seller, same pattern, that was, as I recall, about 11 inches, that brought about $1,000. And I speculated last week. I thought this might bring, $1,400 to $1,600, seeing as it was a good bit bigger. But I did mention that if there's a collector out there that needs it, boy, there are a couple collectors, they're going to chase it. And it looks like they're chasing it. It's up to $2,250. And we'll see where that lands. I'll let you know next week. But it's a really pretty plate, and it's unusually big. So we'll see where that goes. The difference between plates and chargers is amazing sometimes. All right, and then lastly, onto this, a pair of Chinese Republic period vases. These are either Republic or early 50s, but really fine quality. This is a very fine quality pair of vases. They are mirror pair. Here's the back of it. Here's a nice detail of it with all this black enameling around the top. Here's a photograph of the bottom. That to me looks more 50s than late Republic. I may be wrong, but because they're tricky, because there was a certain continuation of some of the workshops in Jingdezhen after the revolution, after 1949, when the Republic period ended. But we'll see. Anyway, these are a nice pair of vases, and they've got 2 days to go, and they're only up to $107. All right, and I think it may be partly because this particular seller sometimes goes a little heavy-handed with reserves and estimates. He has it dated early 20th century. I don't think it is. I think it's mid-20th century. But 13 inches tall without the stand. So these are nice sizes. They've been drilled, but it's a pair. All right, and I think anything under 1,500 to 2,000s for these, they should bring more, is an absolute steal. All right, I really do. Those are a nice pair of high quality vases. And that's about it for the week. As I said, I've got a house call to go on Monday to look at some very nice things. An interesting guy called me about some things that he has. I'm going to see them on Monday, and then Tuesday, Wednesday, we'll get back here and we'll get to work on finishing up the global auction pages and let everybody know they're done. And I hope you take part in it. I hope you sign up for them. We've put a lot of work into the technology to be able to do this. And I think it'll save everybody. If you're a dealer or a collector, it's going to save you a lot of time every week. Instead of spending 5 or 6 or 8 hours a week browsing through all those websites, you can come over here and do it all in under an hour. Put things on your watch list. But do get an account on BidSquare, Live Auctioneers, and Invaluable if you don't have one. There is some overlap between the auction houses. We're going to try not to include sometimes things that are on Live Auctioneers are also on Invaluable. Christie's has things on Invaluable, as I recall, and so forth. And we're going to try to keep them separated as much as possible so there's not a lot of redundancy. But we're going to try very hard to cover everything. And if we have any doubt at all, you won't be seeing it. And that means that some things that are legit are not going to get on the pages just because we're not certain enough based on the photos they give. Some auction houses provide very few photographs. I don't know why. Photos are so cheap to put up. Include lots of photos. It'll help you. All right, that's it. Everyone have a great weekend. If you enjoy the videos, give us a thumbs up here. Subscribe to us on YouTube to get the notifications when we post new content. And come over to Bidamount.com and check out the global auction pages and check out the newsletter page this week and see what we're up to. And that's it. All righty. Have a wonderful weekend, and we'll see you all next week. The sales in New York, in Hong Kong, are wrapping up this week, and hopefully we'll be able to get to some reporting on that too. We're just between having my cold and doing this new site thing, I've just been a little overwhelmed lately because we want to get this done. Okay. Have a great weekend, and see you all next time. Bye-bye.